Oh, well, hello.
Hi.
Miss Four Eyes, you are looking so cute
Oh,
today.
thank you so much.
Oh my god, I know. We just put on our glasses. I don't know about you, but I'm working in front of my computer nonstop. So this
So
blue
much.
light, like,
Yeah.
it's killing my eyes. So
I get
stopping
tired
it.
eyes now. Because for a second there, I was like, "Ugh, is my eyesight going? And it was, I was like, it cannot be.
Right?
What?
I was
And
the
it was
devil.
because in front of the computer for so long that your eyes just started. So I've started to adjust my screens. And then you're right, the blue light, and it does work.
Yeah.
It's nuts, but it works.
You know what we have by our bed now is an orange light bulb,
Ooh.
so that it can get it blocks out blue light. So with the TV on, the orange really makes it neutral. So when I want to go to bed because I have a hard time sleeping, it
Right.
really helps. So that's a good tip to have for people that
I like that.
Yeah.
We do. I put in a blue light bulb actually on one of the lampshades next to our bed because, well, here's a trick for all of those folks with babies, which I didn't realize. When you wake up in the middle of the night and it's all pitch dark and you're like, and so you don't fall and if you turn your lights like on, it'll wake the baby up, right?
Oh, yeah.
So what we did was put a little blue light, so it's still dark but you can see. And
That's smart.
So we've just kept it because we liked it. It was
Smart.
nice.
Yeah.
Anyway, sidebar.
Well, Vivi, okay, another week, another living experience on
Yes.
this place called Earth.
Life.
Yes, and life. So I think this topic is going to be something that really resonates with everybody. It resonates with me, and then I'm dying to hear your opinion about it,
Yes.
and then just feedback, because I know some people have been writing in wanting to know about
Right.
this topic, and
Sure.
we listen to all of you guys, and we love you guys. So thank you so much for always putting what your ideas out there, and just all your
thoughts.
input,
Yeah.
because we're no experts here.
No.
So it's great for us to get your feedback, especially with the dating stuff and all those episodes. Yeah, you guys have had some funny
boy.
comments with that. Yeah. But today, drum roll please, we are talking, if anybody can relate, disappointment
Yes.
and what that means, where you want to go with that, how you feel when that happens, how you get out of that, how you ride that wave. Everything to do with disappointment.
Right,
So 'cause
right.
we've all been there. It's very relatable. No one can ever say they've never been disappointed in their life.
I mean, I ultimately feel that is just a part of life.
Yeah.
And, the more successful adulting are people who know how to handle those moments with themselves and stuff. Because otherwise, I don't know how many people you know, but I know people who can't handle it and they just fall apart, and that doesn't help either. I mean, it's just part of it. It's almost that saying of like, you can't get everything you want, all of that. But disappointment really is what that is.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's mindset too. So,
Yeah.
we've all had this year of 2020, and I know we've talked about it, where 2020
Yes.
hasn't been all bad. I've had my moments, but I know like the first step with disappointment is, and I talk about it a lot with the reset plan, is getting your mind in a place where, even though you're disappointed, feeling that disappointment and going, how do I get in a happier place, even though I feel disappointed at the same time?
Right.
I know some people that act like, oh, I'm not disappointed. Oh, I'm good. I don't care what people say. I don't care what people think. But they do. And
Yeah.
then they can't be honest with themselves about feeling disappointed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, then let's talk about how people handle disappointment, right?
Right.
Which is what it is. Like it can trigger people into denial, which is kind of, I think, what you're talking about.
Yep.
Or it could just shoot them into straight depression.
Oh, it's Apollo. Do your boobs start milking?
No, I fully weaned and
you
I'm
hear
great.
him crying? Okay.
No, I'm good.
Congratulations.
It's all very it's just how people process it, and I think that's taught from a very young age from the parents, and that's how it's learned. You can't always get what you want, and sometimes things don't always go your way, and
Get what you need.
sometimes what you don't.
So what do you do? Let's do because I think there's 5 steps, right?
Sure.
We talked about this.
Yeah.
That we think that there's 5 steps through disappointment, because we
Sure.
try to just put that out there and try to help people. 'Cause
Yeah.
we can talk about disappointment all day. But
Yeah.
I try, when I feel disappointed in something, put my efforts towards something that's really positive. So I start moving my body, or things that I can do that doesn't make me wallow in them. You know, like there's some people I will not call when I'm feeling disappointed, because I have to look at myself, take a moment and go, why am I feeling that disappointment? Is it all on that person, or how did I contribute to feeling disappointment in that? Because then there's some people that I'll call and they'll be like, oh, you poor thing. It's all the other person's fault. And then I'm like not taking any accountability, because I have that person being like, you know what I mean? Where
and that's not correct. Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
So, because there's, you know, and then I don't know about you, but sometimes it's not what we talk about this a lot. It's not what they say. It's what I hear. And then I hear something totally different and I feel disappointed.
Like the story you're telling yourself is completely different than what probably is. And also the story that other person is telling themselves. So,
right. And then I shut down.
Yeah.
And then there's no room for communication. So I take a step back. And then what I do a lot is I will call that person that says, hey, let's go do something active. Or I'll call you and talk about something else. Or or talk about something entirely different, as opposed to harping on that piece of disappointment. Right. I don't know. What do you do to get your mind in a better place?
Well, generally when I get disappointed, it's because something just didn't go the way I wanted it to, or it didn't pan out in the right way, you know? And then you just, I don't know, you just got to rationalize it first. I mean, I do. I have to think it through and be like, hey, well, how did that work out? Or how did that happen? And then from there, you just gonna go, am I doing the most? Am I just being emotional about it? Or it just is what it is? And then from there, you gotta just move on, because life still is happening, and maybe you're in a position to make, you know, lemonade out of lemons, or you're in a position to go, well, actually it wasn't that bad, because then this happened. Because you never know. I mean, certain things that didn't happen the way you wanted to do, all of a sudden will beget another scenario that actually turned out to be all right, or even better. Or, you know, and so for me, I always like to be pleasantly surprised now, instead of projecting what I need it to be or what it have to be, so that kind of isn't there. I don't have any expectations of something. You know, I have a loose plan of like, okay, I see possibly this happening or whatever. But if it just kind of goes awry, then it's okay also. You know? But that's learning and living and experiencing and just getting older with life, honestly.
Yeah. And also, you know, so when there's disappointment comes, right, with any scenario, what I try to do is get a good mental frame of what's going on, get in a better mental space before I break everything down with the disappointment. Then, I don't know about you, the second step, because I believe that there's like 4 or 5 stages and steps, and you talk this out with me, and you guys let us know out there how you deal with disappointment. But the second one is, you know, they always say days are long, but life is short.
Sure.
And what happens is we want this fantasy in life, but we need to look at where our values are, always bring it down to where our highest and best is going. So we have to say it. So we have to look at what our bigger goal is with desires, as opposed to being upset with every day going from A to B not being perfect, because you have to go from A to B to get to C to T. Everybody just wants this short ride, because they look at all of these successful people, I feel like a lot of times, and they go like all these celebrities. Some people are like, oh, it just happened overnight, because there's lots of documentaries. Oh, it just happened. No, there's a lot of grind from A to Z, tenfold. You know what I mean? That people people don't talk about stuff like that.
Yeah, like there's so many older actors that are all of a sudden the it actor just new, and as if they just started. And it's like, no, there's probably 10, 15, 20 years of auditioning and stage and
disappointment and pivots and goals, you know? So I feel like you got to concentrate on the desire of what you want, but you have to focus on your goals day to day.
Consistency,
hour to hour,
perseverance, and just keep going. Like be clear, you know, and yes, you're going to be flexible. Yes, you're going to bob and weave with what happens and what life hits you with. But as long as you stay through and you're, you know, just keep working at it, you know, then you'll be fine. I just think that with disappointment, it's about how you handle it instead of internalizing and personalizing and then wallowing. It's like, okay, that's what happened, that's what it is, how do we move past this? How do we just get past this and let it go and keep it moving and learn from it, or use it, or just make it a part of how you see emotion and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because, and I think that starts when you're younger, from when you're a kid, how parents, when you can't get the cookie you want, that's disappointing.
You didn't make the goal.
You didn't make the goal.
Soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people talk crap about like the millennials and Gen Zers now.
Everybody gets an award
now because they get an award just for showing up.
No, you lost. Sorry, you need that because it's important to have that disappointment.
Well, you're supposed to show up.
Yeah.
That's your team. Exactly. You're playing that day. You don't get an award just because you showed up.
Exactly.
You're supposed to show up.
You don't
if you
win,
you get the reward. Yeah.
Exactly.
So if I remember when we had to go play, or I was a swimmer, so at the meet, I showed up. I swam. If I didn't win the meet, I didn't get the win, which made me want to work harder for the next thing and work hard. And so then I would get the win maybe next time or the time after that. I mean, that's what you're supposed to learn as you get older and grow and learn how to process these emotions of disappointment and not getting everything
and hurt.
Yeah. And hurt.
Sadness and all those waves.
And I think that in many ways that's kind of taken away now. And then also there's a whole influx of, well, obviously all the social media and TV. And I mean, it's so much more in your face than it was when we were growing up, that now it's like, well, what do you mean? I did this. Why am I not getting an award?
Right.
I showed up, I took a picture. I showed it to you.
Exactly.
Why aren't I on
so
the magazine already?
Right.
Because that's not how that works. You know what I mean? You can, maybe it seems that way, but that's not.
And I worry because of mental health, especially. I guess there's stats that it's gone up since we were 13. It's gone up 100, 200, 300, 400% with these kids, because I can't even imagine. And, the disappointment of okay, friends can disappoint when you're young and all of that. But however, if you see them, talking behind your back, that's one thing. But then going on platforms, talking and letting everybody know about that, on all of these. So I think it's really important for people to have conversations, especially with young kids, because you and I both grew up with celebrity kids that never had a disappointment in their life per se.
Yeah.
Maybe their parents weren't there and they were disappointed, but they never had the tools where they got everything they wanted.
Right.
They had drugs, they had money, everything thrown at them. And then they get older and they're so entitled, and there's no changing that. And it's not fair to raise a kid that no one's going to like, as my mom would say.
Well, entitlement is a whole different thing.
But if you don't have disappointment growing up and knowing how to deal with people saying no to you, you become entitled.
Right.
You become the culture of, well, you should give it to me. I deserve this, but you didn't earn it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So I think that's important. And then what comes with
that's a really good point. Yeah.
And what comes with that is step 3 of what we're talking about. Was this step 3? 1 is the good mental phase. 2 is concentrate on day to day, A to B and C, not just and your desires of what you want out of it. It's being an actor. You have to go to the auditions and all that.
Keep going.
And then 3, Vanessa, here we go, is letting go.
Yes.
Of the idea, right? Let's talk about that, because I could talk about this topic all day.
Dude.
Did I think in almost 40 years old I would be I'm happy where I am.
Yeah.
But if you were to ask a 16-year-old me, it would probably be a lot different,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
not that it's bad or good, but if I hung on and I didn't do all the steps to get to where I thought I was going to, you can be disappointed, but you got to be realistic at the same time.
Yeah, nope. I can say the same thing. What I thought was going to be, or my idea of what successful was for me at certain ages. And of course, you had to tie age and numbers to the whole thing.
Hit that goal.
Yeah. It is completely different to what the reality is and the truth of what happened, or what my life is, which is amazing and wonderful. But it doesn't match up to the picture or the image that, you had when you were young. And that goes back to what we were saying before, where you have to update your pictures in your mind and update your things. But I was going to say, in terms of just this year alone, about letting go, this year has been a practice in just letting go.
Right.
It is, for me, the year of the pivot, because I mean, this year was supposed to start off with gangbusters. I mean, we had plans. Plus we had a baby and, you know, all of that. And the baby is amazing and that's wonderful. But, you know, not necessarily ideal when you're in quarantine and COVID and you want to have like mommy and me meetups and baby meetups and
show everybody your baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At meeting with the family, the baby has to meet the family.
Absolutely.
Like, to just professional things that you had planning because you're just wanting to build and grow in what we're doing and stuff, especially as entrepreneurs and everything. You gotta you those count a lot more than just 9 to 5s.
Yeah.
So it's been the year of the pivot, and the amount of energy you put into that, you kind of have to let go of what was or what could have been because it's just no longer there. So the more time and energy you spend on what could have been, it's really not helping you to move forward and actually find a new way of navigating what's thrown your way and making a success out of it. And not for nothing, it can become even better, you know, or build in just a way that you didn't think it was going to, but is super cool and eventful. I mean, if it wasn't for that, we're doing a podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, there's so many things that have happened from just pivots and rethinking things and moving stuff out the way. And, you know, so, I feel like letting go is a practice that is hard to do. Oh, I mean, even just having a baby and letting go of what your whole image of yourself before, your life before is
everything.
Let go. Yeah, let that go. And then just, you know, let yourself flow into the new parental phase, you know, for me. And it was just all of that. So there's the dogs again. You guys,
so you guys are disappointing us right now. We're in the middle of our moment. This is not the way we thought it was going to be.
Exactly.
But we're flowing with it, you know? And that's the beautiful thing.
Hey.
They're very protective. You guys, you guys have probably heard in some of our podcasts, this is Lefty and Daisy, and you would think that they are Rottweilers. They are little Chihuahuas, and they have a lot to say.
They think they're these huge-ass German Shepherds.
Exactly. They're protecting.
I think that's always the way, right?
Yeah.
They have their little Napoleon complexes.
Oh, God. I know humans like that, too. But I think also, you know, I think being realistic, like we were talking about, is the key. When I have clients and and they want this fantasy world and they want they want to break down why they haven't gotten to where they want to get to, whether it's with weight, whether it's their success, anywhere that they believe that they're going to be and want to be, and they're mad and they're angry.
Yeah.
I make them open their calendars.
Yeah.
And I go, let me look at your day. Let me look at your calendar. And a lot of times going back to getting from A, B, C, there's no consistency there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you can't overnight. You don't eat one bad thing and gain a bunch of weight. And you don't eat one good thing and lose a bunch of weight.
Right.
It's the consistency of
or
it.
one day of not eating anything.
Exactly. And it takes,
Guilty.
and it takes work and it takes effort. But I know for me, my birthday, I've had to let it go because I'm always disappointed on my birthday.
Really?
Always. Because I always am very clear. I'm like, this is what I want to do. And then I want an element of surprise. And nobody brings it. Nobody brings it the way that I feel like I bring it to other people. But then what I've decided is just because I'm disappointed doesn't mean I'm going to stop doing for others. I'm still going to make their light shine, you know?
Sure.
And I have to be clear. And every year, you know, my husband, bless him, the first year of us being together.
Bless him.
Oh God. The first year of us being together, I know this sounds petty, but I'm just used to, you know, if you're going to give me a present and put it in a bag, go to the 99-cent store. It's fine. It's not about money, but put tissue paper in the bag. This sweet man puts the present in the bag with I'm like, oh, okay. And I think it might have been a Vaughn's bag, a grocery bag. I wasn't sure what it was, but it's an element of extra.
Right.
And I need that. And so I got disappointed, but he's learned over time. He's been great. Now there's cards in the morning and stuff like that.
You trained well.
Well, if I tell him I trained, he'll freak out. But no,
men don't like that.
I've communicated that well.
Yes.
I've also had to, and we talk about this a lot, is
communicating
because it's
well. Yes, exactly.
the communication is not walling out. is not is not crying and being so upset and going, did he try his best? And that's part of disappointment, is looking at the other person and going, did they try their best? Did they do the best that they know how? Even though I was specific, why is this not blending? How can I communicate that to them?
Absolutely.
What's
you
my
cannot blame somebody for
responsibility?
the information that they do not know or have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just didn't know.
Yeah. And if I come all aggressive and be like, what is this? It doesn't encourage you to want to do more for a person.
No.
You know, so
Comes across ungrateful.
exactly. And but one thing, let's debate this.
Yeah.
I can be ungrateful sometimes.
Sure.
Because I'm so clear about what I've asked for, that if you don't even come close to the mark, I'm allowed to feel disappointed. It's not ungrateful, but I can come off that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because you at least want them to show some effort.
Like a little bit.
Yeah. And if you
Listen
don't
to
see
me.
any effort, then you're showing some toot about the whole thing.
And I
get
seem
that.
ungrateful.
I get that.
But I'm disappointed.
Yeah.
And I'm allowed to be, because I was so clear with you about what I needed.
Right.
I just needed a
Right.
iota.
Right.
Iota? Iota.
Iota. Yeah.
Iota.
Yeah.
Iota. I needed an iota of what I asked for.
Right.
But then people are like, oh, you're just ungrateful. And I'm like,
Or
but
just
you
so
di-
needy or
you
high
didn't even-
maintenance.
yeah.
I hate that. It's
High
no,
maintenance,
you're
no.
being communicative and you're being really clear. And people sometimes aren't used to that and they don't like it.
They want to give you what they want to give you.
Yeah, and that's a whole different other thing.
And okay, we'll do another bless her heart. Bless my mother too. I love her. But I tell her sometimes, we're very different. If you
Right.
guys don't know, she's little, she's blonde, she's so cute. She loves her roses, her red lipstick, and adorable.
Yes.
But I would have to say to her, go in a store and get the thing you hate the most, like the dress you don't like the most, and buy it for me, because I'll probably like it, because her taste is so different than mine.
Right.
Because she'll buy me things that she likes, which
For
is
herself.
really sweet.
Shopping for
because she
herself.
wants to see it on me, because she thinks it looks so pretty, but it ain't my taste. And then I come off ungrateful.
Right.
We have this thing at Christmas that if you don't like the gift, you just smile and you just go, Merry Christmas. Because we get too real in the Ferrigno household. Louis will be like, I told you, this is exactly what I wanted. So now what we do is literally we send a list and we're just like, pick it, wrap it, and we're good. Like, I don't even need it.
But that's when you know you're a grown child.
Right?
Because
And then
it's
there's
like,
no
what do you want?
disappointment, hopefully.
Yeah, no, fully.
So preparing yourself
And
for
nobody
that.
wants to waste money on something nobody wants.
Yeah. And then lying and sitting there and being like, I love it. Are you
yeah.
good at that? I
Yeah.
feel like you're not fake like that. I feel like you try
Well,
to
no,
be grateful,
because
but-
I'm clear at this point and be like, you know what I like. This
Yeah.
is for you. So why don't I just give it to you?
Right.
That whole bit. No, my mom's actually been really good about that. My mom knows how to shop for me. For sure.
she gives me her clothes, too. I
she's
love
a
her.
great gift giver. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
She's like, you got this? I'm like, yes. She's got good taste.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's good.
But I know exactly what you mean, because my stepdad was kind of that way, where he would get things that he thinks you should have.
You're
and
"But
it's
I
like,
don't want it.
but that's not
Yeah.
all right. But that's a gift for you then, not for me.
Right.
And then sometimes, like, I just want stuff, but it just kind of goes under par from somebody. You know what I mean? Like, say, I know in many cases, like my aunt.
Bless her.
No, I love my aunt. She has
okay.
great taste. She just,
Oh,
and
awesome.
she would just love it if her husband would give her, like, some beautiful diamond earrings
Yeah.
or whatever. They're older, and so you want
They're
certain nice
established.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But my uncle will always just give, like, and bless him, because he thinks
Blessing
it's
everybody up in
because
here.
it's a matter of just the thought, right, in his
Right.
mind, because that's what he's also one of those men who thinks jeans still cost only $20, which is not real. Which that doesn't matter what age you are. Boys always think jeans should only. So he'll get her something really basic and just
Yeah.
something
She's like,
"Basic,"
"That's
some
not what I
like,
wanted."
and she's like, and she wants to say thank you, and yes, it's nice, and she does, but now she's always this much. So now she learns, like, oh, I'm the one that's going to have to buy myself the diamond earrings that I want. I'm the one that's going to have to buy the purse that is nice that I want, not the flea market cool find that was for $15, because that was the thought. And how neat is that? It's colorful.
Right.
And it was just like, honey, have you ever seen me wear this?
Right. I think we've talked about this in the past. Maybe we haven't, but this can be another
I think that's
topic.
universal for all women, by the way.
Yeah.
It's so strange.
Yeah. I also think it's like the movies and the fairy tales and what we're taught as little girls and Cinderella and just like them surprising us. But a lot of men are not, they're great at some things, but maybe they're not great at buying you what you want and like picking out the purse. So that's where you can not have so much disappointment that I found.
Sure.
I'll buy it for myself. You know what I mean? As opposed to starting a fight and he doesn't even know where to start to begin with. And he wants, because it should come from the heart if they want to give you a gift.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no, and that's where, like my aunt, we can joke about it, but at the end of the day, she goes, no, my husband loves me. I know that, but this is just how he sees it.
Yeah.
This is what he's learned and done for our entire lives together. And so therefore, these are my presents for my husband. And I know that.
Yeah.
So if I want certain things, I just do it for myself and I save the disappointment for later. That was her way of getting past that.
Yes.
And moving forward. You know what I mean? And you know, gift giving is not necessarily as deep as some other disappointments, some life things or whatever, but it is a commonality with socialization and couples and things like that. And so that's one way where disappointment comes into play in life in many ways. You know what I mean? Or another way is, hey, you wanted that job and you didn't get it. Your coworker got it.
Yeah.
Or you applied for that job and you didn't get it. You know, they hired somebody else.
Right.
I understand that. I mean, just like auditioning for actors, they have to deal with 100 no's before they get a yes. And even that yes is like okay.
Yeah. Well, that goes to my fourth point of what we talk about. Just because the outcome didn't go the way that you want it to doesn't mean that it's not what could be great at the end of the day. So,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? So there's so many, that's why you can't just look at it losing that job offer and all that. You could just need to go back to the mindset, pivot it, not stay in that dark circle.
Right. And don't wallow.
Exactly.
And be so rigid and stubborn and stick to what, it's supposed to be like this. It's like, well, this is what happened. So now what do I do? How do I make this work?
Keep moving through it.
And that's really the thinking process. You just kind of have to, how do I make this work? How do I handle this? What do I say? What do I do now? And, if you don't know, especially when you're just, learning about it and trying to figure it out, that's like, as a kid, you run to your parents to ask them, and hopefully your parents know how to when they tell you how. Or when you're older, you run to your friends, and you get older, then you run to your other friends or older people that you look to for advice, or stuff like that. But that's how I learned how to deal with disappointment.
Yeah.
And it sucks. It never is nice or feels good. It's just part of how you live it. Yeah.
Well, it helped me, disappointment. I think life's about creating yourself. So how many times did I date a man that really disappointed me? And I was like, I had to look at myself and say, who am I choosing?
Yeah.
So I don't go and get myself involved for the rest of my life with a man that's disappointing me.
Yeah.
Now I look for the red flags.
And that took some time for her to do that. And then when she finally did,
along the way.
Yes.
But this is
and we were there
life.
for you, girl.
I know, always. But it was a lot of learning. Yes. However, I don't regret any of it. I don't take any of it back. Did I necessarily? Sometimes I was a cutter. I was like, okay, do I really stop cutting? Why again? But once you get it, but disappointment doesn't have to be all bad. So just because the outcome in that moment, it won't last forever. But I feel like people just go in this downward spiral, and that's why movement is so important. Keep talking to friends, keep moving your body. Like I got 2008, everything, the market crashed, everything happened.
Right.
And then I was just like, doctors were giving me pills nonstop. Okay, this is what the doctor gave me. I'm not even kidding. I had a prescription for 60 Klonopin, 30 Xanax, and 20 Valium a month.
Whoa.
Yes. So I started taking them, and I was so depressed. I watched Gossip Girl. I was unemployed from Warner Brothers.
That's a great binge show.
Depressed. What? Yeah.
That's a great binge show.
It was great. Yeah. And I was like, why is my life not like this? So then what I decided to do is I called a friend. She was like, why don't you pivot and move to Austin? And I was like, you're right. I got to get rid of the pills. I got to get rid of the space. I got to keep moving. And I had a year there and it was amazing. I got to see who I was. I got to live my way of getting out of that bubble and that. So if you have a possibility and a way to go and do that, and you can do that in little shifts and ways of getting from A, B, but it seemed like I jumped from A to C, but I went D, E at like along the way in Austin. I was present. But
no, I
sometimes
remember.
you need that
and then,
jump.
and it was kind of a break from a certain kind of reality that you needed to just get out of.
Yeah.
And then when you came back, you were so solid.
I started Ferrigno Fit.
Yeah,
I started
you were
my
so
company.
solid. You were so clear. You had clarity and you had like a goal. You were like boom, 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 boom. And all the things that used to, they were no longer a thing anymore.
Yeah.
You cleaned up. You cleaned up friends. You cleaned up a lot. It was amazing. Yeah. I remember
a lot
that.
of disappointment, but then what do you make of it? Because, it was a good pivot for me.
I mean, I know one of the big disappointments in my life, obviously, and I think only it was like when my father passed, my stepfather passed, who was one of my best friends, and just really it's still hard for me to like, and I don't think that ever gets
Goes
better.
away.
Yeah, no, but when a parent passes, it's almost like a pillar in your life that made you who you are just kind of goes away, and you're kind of like off kilter. And that's how I felt, and for a year there. And yes, there's all those stages of mourning that you go through, and it takes however long it takes you to go through, from anger to sadness to denial to all the stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then back again. And then repeat. Yeah.
And you do find yourself in the middle of the market aisle just bawling sometimes because you saw something that you used to love together. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's not a unique story, and that's okay. It's okay. But the disappointment, the deep disappointment, the hurt and the pain that gives, it's like, it's crazy. I remember that first year being kind of in shock, but having to just keep moving forward, having to work. And I worked every single day. I worked through all the holidays.
In New York, right?
In New York, yeah.
I
and I worked through all the holidays. I worked through everything.
Mm-hmm.
I cleaned up, especially being a young person where people don't quite understand death because they still have their parents or whatever, don't know how to talk to you about it. Or so you have to process that in your mind, and it takes a while, but you just have to have the patience with yourself to do it. And yeah, I did some crazy shit that's very out of character. Or just doing weird things that don't make any sense because you just needed to do something different. I mean, not dangerous or anything, but just you would take days of just, roaming or what have you. Mm-hmm. And that's okay too. But then after that year it was done, I moved, I guess, into the next stage where it was like, okay, let me get my shit together and let me just. So it's, disappointment can come in so many different forms and ways in life. And these are just life experiences that no matter who you are, you're going to deal with it. You're going to deal with death. You're going to deal with, heartbreak. You're going to deal with
disappointment all throughout. Yeah, absolutely.
And it's the way,
and a lot of joy in between as well.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And so it's the way you just handle it, and the people that you are connected with that you can lean on, that helps you to stand up from it. I think.
And I always look at people and judge people. I try not to judge people per se. However, I always look at people when things aren't going their way.
Yeah.
And how they deal with it.
Oh, that's so telling.
When they don't get their way at the market, or if somebody does their food, it can be as simple as that. Or if life doesn't go the right way,
right.
Right. Women having nervous breakdowns and just leaving their families. I'm just, okay, wait, hold up. So when life doesn't go your way, that's really the measure of who you are as a human.
Yes,
so I think it's really important. Right. And you got to prep yourself for it because it's coming. There's disappointment always around the corner. But pick your battles with disappointment. Like we were saying, the birthday presents and all of that, like your aunt.
Yeah. Buy
your own, so pick your battles with being, now for my birthday, I'm like, I'm good. I have, like you said, I have no standards, whatever.
So funny with my birthday. Like, I love my birthday. And yes, I understand you're wanting always to have like an element of surprise with your birthday. And I want that too. Don't always get it, but
Yeah.
But the one thing on my birthday that is always important to me is that everybody who should know that it's my birthday should call me.
Yeah.
and say happy birthday.
Yeah.
And chat or try to connect to me or somehow, some way. And that is the one thing that I require on my
Yes. Yeah. Yours is in my phone. I know. Yeah. It's not even on Facebook. I got you, girl. Yeah.
But that came from a whole lot of years growing up where those that were supposed to would forget.
Yeah. So it's extra sensitive for you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so, but now it doesn't happen now. They all know.
There you go. I love it. And
Fully.
Facebook, thank God, they save my ass sometimes with some people.
Oh, word. Oh,
Some
thank
big,
God.
yeah, right? Can't balance it all, you know? So the fifth step, I would say,
Yes.
is controlling the controllable.
Yes.
Like we were just saying.
Yes.
So like your aunt is a great, perfect example
Yeah.
of, you know, controlling what you can to make sure you walk around the disappointment. Because I meet people sometimes and I'm like, you'll be a good friend for the hour or you're a good friend for the day, you know, and that's who they are. Like have great hour conversations with them, but then I don't rely on them all the time. I don't have to get disappointed because I know who they are as a person. They may not have time. It's not personal.
Right.
They're just busy. They may not have time to listen. They may not understand certain things. So it's more surfacey.
Right.
However, it doesn't mean I have to be disappointed and then cut them off.
Right.
I need to know who they are. So controlling as much as you can with knowing people and just going back to yourself and going, how sensitive am I? Because it's the people that try to avoid and try to lie and be like, I'm not sensitive. I'm not disappointment. And then, then it all implodes. And you know, and people have been disappointed with me. However, you need to tell me because I didn't know I disappointed you.
Yeah.
I can work on that.
Yeah.
If you tell me why you were disappointed. Because some people are just like, and there's only so much I can do as well, you know?
I mean, that's also is just how you communicate, and you should communicate your disappointment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, whether that's in yourself, for yourself, or, you know, because you can be disappointed in your own self of something that you did. You made a bad choice. You did a bad thing. Doesn't necessarily mean you're bad, but what you did was a bad thing. And so therefore...
Yeah, but also, Vanessa, I've gotten rid of people that not gotten rid, it sounds bad, but anyway, I fucking said fuck off to people that I'll be really real, that are all the time putting their disappointment on me and telling me that I keep disappointing them. And I'm like, you know what, that's a you problem because that's not my intention. Yeah. And so if I'm always disappointing you, why do you keep calling me?
Yeah.
Why do you keep coming into my life? Because I may not have time for you at that moment. I will try to call you back when I can, but I can't be your end all be all. We all have lives. So why are you coming to me telling me I'm constantly disappointing you when I didn't even know I signed up for that role to constantly disappoint? Yeah. Don't manipulate me like that.
Yeah, no,
you know?
and that's exactly it. Manipulative. So, don't get, that's easy to just not get roped into. But a lot of young people do get roped into that. That's the whole people pleasing thing. And I'm, thank God I'm past that. Cause it used to be a thing to be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean, I'm apologizing for things that I didn't need to.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like we talked about in our other podcast is, with boundaries is instead of saying, and I did this the other day with the email and I've been practicing all of the writings you told me to do with my left hand.
Yes.
And been trying to hug trees and, you know, walking in
I'm
dirt.
telling you,
actually.
grounding is real. Yep.
But I've been trying really hard and I did this with an email yesterday. I think it was 2 days ago where I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I went, nope, I'm not going to say I'm sorry. I'm going to say, thank you so much for your patience with me.
Thank you for understanding.
Thank you for, I'm so sorry I emailed you late. Thank you for
Thank you for your time. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm not coming in being like, I'm disappointed at myself because we can all be disappointed in ourselves. However, we got to keep moving forward, control the controllable. And there's times that I really am disappointed in myself, but I just go, my mental state, going back to the first tip is, how do I reset? I go and do a workout. I go move my body and then I come back to it. And I go, how can I make this better?
Right. Well, yeah, because what if, you know, your time management for that day was just totally off or you overloaded your schedule and you just couldn't make it to all of it. Yeah, everyone's human. So you just kind of have to, okay, let me just refix and redo. And then this is what it's going to be. And some things fall off and some things stay. And then you're just going to have to reschedule. I mean, it just is what it is. But
I love age for that.
I know.
I love it.
I can't wait until we're like 85.
Right?
And like,
oh
you
my
really
God,
don't
wait for that podcast. We're going to be like, fuck that. Like, I have
I
no
don't have time for that. Yeah.
Well, growing up, my number one biggest disappointment in my life, and I still am getting through it, is that all the food that I love have a lot of calories. And I have to, but that was, you know, being a heavy kid, it was really good for me to learn once I got it right that there's consequences to things where food has calories. That's cool. You can have it, but you're going to be real disappointed the way you look if you don't go and work you work calories off.
Yes.
So, I have to go run. I have to go do things because I'm not one of those that can just eat and it falls off,
Yeah.
Me, I had disappointment of people making fun of me and all of that I talk about in my book.
Yeah, the bullying.
And I hate using that word because I feel like all of us have been bullied in our lives. Let's be real.
Yeah,
I know. It's such an overused term now. Like that was just called fourth grade. My whole fourth grade was being bullied.
Well, what was so interesting that happened with that? So I had my family come visit me this weekend.
Oh, they are so great.
They're adorable. And my nephew is cute. He's 12.
Oh my
he's
God.
6 feet, and so
Y'all,
you
I
don't
thought
even
he was
realize
like
he's 12.
17. I was like, oh, birth control. He's like, I'm 12. I was like, oh, never mind. Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, you forget because he's so big.
Right.
But he's still a little boy.
He
And
was
he's a mama's
dating.
boy.
Yeah.
And he's definitely a mama's boy. And he's sensitive. And, the family, when we're all together, can get really loud and boisterous and just,
Yeah, you do.
bite on each other. But that's just the family.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about families is you bark down. You don't bark up. You bark down. You don't complain
That's
up.
true.
You complain down.
Yes.
So sorry, you're the youngest one. You're going to get it.
Right.
And jokes, everything. And so he got sensitive and his response was, stop bullying me.
Oh, I remember that.
I thought, what? I go, first of all, no one's bullying here. 2, you got to grow a pair. And 3.
And you're 6'5", okay? He's how tall is he?
Yeah. But when I said grow a pair, his mom looked at me and I went, what? I go, that happened to us and we just had to learn how to deal. You just have to toughen your skin. So in my mind, I was like, okay, wait a minute. Am I being insensitive? Am I being, because I understand the whole bullying thing and how it can really get into a not so safe, not so great territory.
People's psyche, yeah.
But for these kids right now who are getting awards just for showing up and who are kind of being helicoptered and all that kind of stuff, their idea of what bullying is or any kind of thing that doesn't, feel good or is uncomfortable for them or they just don't like being teased and now they're being bullied. It's like, is that bullying?
Or you being extra sensitive and not getting your way.
So at that point I stopped and I went, all right, I'm not going there. But at the same time, it's just kind of like, where is the line? Where is it where you go, hey, you got to grow a pair and just ball up to what life will hit you with? Because once you're out on your own, I'm 10 to 1, you're going to get hit with a bunch of disappointment. You're going to get hit with a bunch of tough moments, people that mean not necessarily like you or things that you're uncomfortable or situations that are awkward and weird. And are you going to deal with it in the whole, don't bully me thing? Or are you going to go, okay, it's not that deep. I can handle it. I don't know where that line is. I don't know where the balance,
Just remember what you're good at. Keep writing down things that you're good at, going back to places when you feel disappointed. If you're great at softball or you're great at art, and you don't get that job, go put your brain into what you're good at or people that make you feel good because then it'll dissipate over time.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just look at a lot of clients and I'm like, you're with people nonstop that are disappointing you.
Yeah.
And of course you're going to go to food. That's going to be your best friend because food is amazing. It doesn't talk back. It makes you feel good at the moment.
Tastes good.
It tastes delicious. It's your best friend. But however, we're not dogs. We can't be rewarded by food.
Yeah.
And we can't keep that cycle because then we end up getting heavy, diabetes, and then we start killing ourselves.
Sure.
But a lot of people shut off from dating and other humans because of the disappointment. I would say to people, because we've talked, to Kayla in the past and then Raul, just about
you deal with
dating.
Denial and exactly.
But just because you're disappointed by one person and a man that you went or a woman that you dated doesn't mean you bring it to the next person.
Right.
It doesn't mean that you carry all that disappointment and unload it onto someone else.
Exactly.
You have to really be clear, put yourself in a good mindset, control the controllable, look at your calendar with what you value and what you go for every single day and take the accountability as yours and then release it.
Yeah.
Get a fucking balloon and release it as your disappointment, buddy, and just go goodbye and let it float away. It's kind of cathartic, actually. I've done that. Yeah, I've done that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just what it is. I mean, it's a lot of words to say, hey. Yeah. But I think I think the more successful at handling scenarios that involve disappointment or being let down or, even being angry and the way that you handle it with grace and class and all that kind of different stuff. The more sophisticated you can get with those type of emotions, you build your emotional intelligence and the more successful you'll be at adulting.
Exactly.
And trust me, it's not, no one here is perfect. I know I'm not. I have failed and still do many times in those scenarios, but you just keep working at it and you'll get better at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other thing is forgiveness with disappointment, because, mostly people that disappoint us are people in our families and in our
closest to you.
Exactly.
Right.
So when you have boundaries, like we talked about in other episodes, like when you have boundaries and you really define, what your standards are and what you'll allow, you get real clear on when to say goodbye, like whether it's an hour with your mom, if you can stand it, or you spend 3 hours and you're great. You call her every Sunday, you call her every other Sunday, to just make sure you can control the controllable with that disappointment.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So, anything else you have to say about? I hope that helps you guys out there. I would love to hear what your thoughts are on disappointment, your tips, right? We'd love to hear that.
Yeah.
Because it's such a relatable thing. Everything we talk about is really relatable. We all have boundary issues and disappointments, and
you're not alone.
Forgiveness.
You are not alone. That is just a normal, common thing for everybody. Everybody has that, no matter what they say, pretend to live.
You're looking at people on Instagram and you think they don't have a disappointment in the world, and then isn't it funny? Then you see them 3 months later and they're getting divorced and everything looks perfect, or they're going through cancer, God forbid, and it's just this fantasy world of social media. Just don't look at it. Just stay away from it and follow people that inspire you.
Yes.
Especially when you're going through
talked about that.
times.
Manage your media input,
Exactly.
Make sure that you're getting a whole lot of positive with the real. And not just what you like and what you want to hear, because 10 to 1, that's fake.
That's some disappointing shit.
Yes.
Exactly. So tell me about your shirt. I love your shirt. Let me see. I'm looking at it. I got my Billy Joel one.
Okay, well, this is not a shirt I necessarily like to wear outside.
Why? Because you're a mom now?
Well, no, but it's just not necessarily the message.
But why'd you get the shirt then?
It says
the
Great
black and
Minds
white. Drink alike. I like the logo. It's a circle.
Yeah, and that's what it was. And then it didn't hit me until I got home and I went,
we should do it. Like raw talk, not food.
Yeah, fully.
Not
but
talk. Not food.
Great minds do drink alike. We do. We love
Yeah.
our vodka.
Hey girl. I just drink a lot more of it too. You're good. You know when to go home.
I
know.
Yeah.
And you're a mom now, so I can't even imagine. You haven't been hungover having a kid yet.
No, I haven't. No.
I can't even imagine.
I'd rather just not.
Right? Smart.
Yeah.
I look at people, I'm like, you have a kid you have to wake up to the next morning.
Yeah.
Okay, talk about
The
disappointment.
misery of that would be.
Disappointment in yourself the next day.
Exactly.
All right, baby. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon.
Bye.
I'll talk.